The Delta Platinum and the Delta Reserve have the highest annual fees in the line of 4 total Delta credit cards offered by American Express at $250 and $550. Knowing which one is best for you is going to come down to a few factors, irrespective of you flying with Delta all that often. We'll start off with what we need to know about each of these cards, followed by what special advantages each card has over the other. Then we'll cover the specific credit card strategy regarding these Delta credit cards and everything you need to know about this, because the nuances involved before you put in that first application can genuinely alter your entire life. Because once you click that submit your application button, you can't go back in time to change what's already done. Starting off with the Delta Platinum, you're looking at a sign-up bonus of 50,000 Delta Skymiles after $3,000 in minimum spend in the first 6 months. We earn 3x Skymiles per dollar spent on spend specifically with Delta. We're also looking at 3x miles earned on spend made directly with hotels. From there, we got 2x miles earned in the restaurant category, which includes both takeout as well as delivery. This is for spend made specifically in the US, and in the same fashion, we get 2x miles on US supermarkets and grocery spend. And everywhere else, we're looking at 1x. 50,000 miles is the public sign-up bonus offer for the Delta Platinum at the time of recording, and I've definitely seen times where it goes all the way up to 90,000 miles. Moving on to the Delta Reserve, the sign-up bonus is 60,000 miles after $5,000 in minimum spend in the first 6 months. Similar to the Delta Platinum, I've also seen elevated sign-up bonuses for the Delta Reserve in that 90,000 plus region. The earn rate with the Reserve is very straightforward. It's going to be 3x miles earned per dollar spent with Delta, and 1x everywhere else. Both of these cards come with a multitude of benefits, and I'll cover the mutual benefits between both of these cards right now, followed by the special superpowers each of these cards has right after. With either of these cards, you get your first check bag for free. This isn't just for you, but it's for you and up to 8 other folks on your same reservation. To take advantage of this perk, you'll definitely need to be the primary card holder. In other words, if you're the authorized user and you do that booking on your own and you're not traveling with the primary card holder, then you're not going to be able to take advantage of this benefit. From there, we have something known as Take Off 15. This is a perk for any Delta credit card holder where you get 15% off an award booking. Let's say an award redemption costs 50,000 miles. Having this perk would result in you paying only $42,500 to solidify that reservation. Any taxes and fees aren't related to this Takeoff 15. In other words, if your travel costs $5.60 after using whatever miles it was to book that reservation, that amount needs to be paid in full, totally separate from all of this. When it comes to in-flight purchases, having either of these cards will result in a 20% discount on your purchase. You'll need to specifically use this Delta credit card to get that 20% discount. In other words, if you just have the card and check out with another card, you may not get this discount whatsoever. A specific capability when you have a Delta credit card is that you can pay with miles. What this means is at 1 penny per point, you can use your miles in lieu of cash. So for example, if you have 5,000 miles, you can use that to get $50 towards your flight booking. Redeeming Delta Skymiles for domestic travel within the US generally can give you a value of around 1 to 1.3 cents per point. In English, these 5,000 miles can be worth around $50 to around $65 if you redeem them for a specific travel booking. Delta Skymiles are commonly referred to as Sky Pesos, where folks usually earn and burn them. And in this situation, if the redemption makes sense, at 1 penny per point versus the stashing and hoarding these miles for a greater redemption at some future point, it could definitely make sense to take advantage of this option. Just depends on your choice. When it comes to boarding our flight, we'll get priority boarding in the version of Main Cabin 1 in terms of the order of when we'd actually get on to the plane. The guidelines are exactly the same as the free first check bag, where if you're an authorized user traveling on your own, you're not going to get this priority boarding. And at the same time, if you're the primary card holder and you have up to those 8 other folks, in other words, 9 total on your reservation, then they all can board together at the same time within that Main Cabin 1 slot. Moving on, we have some downside protection in the form of baggage insurance, damage insurance, and car rental loss. We have a couple common benefits that come with other credit cards in this annual fee tier range, and they come in the form of no foreign transaction fees, as well as credit for TSA pre-check / global entry. And right before moving on to Delta Reserve specific information, there is a companion certificate which we get with both of these cards, yet they function differently, and I'll cover that very shortly. Starting off, even though they both get priority boarding, the thing is, when you have the Delta Reserve, you have that much more of an edge with the following scenario. Let's say there's 2 folks with the same level of Delta status. The fact that you have the Delta Reserve gets you that much more ahead than this person right here at the same level of Delta status. It's as simple as that. With the Reserve, you get complimentary Delta Sky Club access. On February 1st, 2025 specifically, you're going to be limited to 15 lounge visits per year if you have the Reserve. Until then, the understanding is you have unlimited complimentary visits. After those 15 visits, you can still get into the lounges, but it will come at a fee. Coming to getting upgraded on your flight, with the Reserve you get unlimited complimentary upgrades. The way it works is if you're a Medallion member and you get whatever level of upgrades you do, having the Reserve will still allow you to get complimentary upgrades, period. The main difference is that the order of operations would be that all the folks with status would get upgraded first, and then you with your actual Delta Reserve. Yet, if you have Medallion status and the Reserve, then you'll have that much more of an edge. Specifically with the Reserve and not offered to us through the Platinum is going to be trip cancellation and interruption insurance. Coming back to both of these cards, there's a couple more benefits which are a little different for each of them. The first is going to be MQD Boost. MQD stands for Medallion Qualifying Dollars and essentially is the metric to determine what level of status you would have with Delta. Spending $5,000 with Delta for spend that qualifies towards you gaining these Medallion qualifying dollars will essentially avail you to get silver status with Delta. If you spend $10K, you're looking at Delta Gold, $15K, Delta Platinum, and then $28,000 is where you're gonna get Delta Diamond. These are the 4 levels of Delta status, and having both of these cards also avail you an advantage known as MQD Head Start. This essentially gives you 2,500 Medallion qualifying dollars for you to have that head start towards that next level of Delta status. And in terms of the MQD boost with these cards, with the Platinum, you're going to get 1 Medallion qualifying dollar per every $20 spent. And with the Delta Reserve, you're going to get 1 Medallion qualifying dollar with every $10 you spend. In other words, if you're not flying that much, you could still be racking up these MQDs towards that Delta level of status you desire. Coming back to our companion certificates, essentially with the Delta Platinum, it works in a fashion where when you're booking a main cabin flight that's domestic and specifically round trip, and you pay for it with your card, that too in cash, in other words, not using any miles, then you'll get an extra companion certificate for them to travel with you on that same reservation. In a very similar fashion with the Delta Reserve, if you're booking not just a main cabin flight ticket, but if you're booking either a Comfort Plus or first class ticket with Delta, then you get this companion certificate as well with those same constraints of it being domestic as well as paid with cash and a round trip. The little heads up is that these companion certificates come after the first year, in other words, when that second year's annual fee is charged. What you need to know about applying for these Delta credit cards, specifically, which could alter your future generations and your lineage and all these things I alluded to from the beginning, is as follows. There's just a little joke, I want to have some fun, but the content is serious. So here we go. Let's say, for example, we choose to apply for the Delta Reserve first. If we do this, we can get its sign-up bonus offer, which is great. The problem is, we won't be eligible anymore in our future of life period whatsoever to get a sign-up bonus offer from the Delta Blue, Gold, or Platinum. If we apply for the Delta Platinum, then we can still get the Delta Reserve, but we'd be locked out of the cards below the Platinum. The perfect strategy then would be, assuming you just have no Delta credit cards at this point, would be to apply for the Delta Blue, then the Gold, then the Platinum, and then the Reserve in that specific order if you're looking at getting all the sign-up bonus offers for all 4 of those cards. If we're being super brass tacks, both of these cards really pay for themselves regardless of having such a high annual fee. The reason is these companion certificates, if you're flying domestic round trip once a year at least and you have a companion that's going with you, if that costs you, let's say, $250 or even more, that's actually a situation where you're coming out ahead. Same with the Delta Reserve. If you're not taking advantage of anything it has to offer, then if you're a normal first class traveler or Comfort Plus and you're comfortable or it's normal for you to pay that $550 in terms of a round trip flight ticket, then it could also make sense to break even on that annual fee without really doing that much more or taking more advantage of what this card has to offer. The Delta Blue has an annual fee of $0. The Delta Gold has an annual fee of $0 in year 1, followed by $99 each and every year after. The Delta Gold has this free first check bag benefit, just like the Platinum and the Reserve. And there's other items you may want to consider when it comes to the Gold if you really don't want either the Platinum or the Reserve. And so to see comparison between the Gold and the Reserve, click over here and I'll see you there.